Om Shanti and good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Saturday online workshop series here at Brahma Kumaris, Los Angeles.
Om
Um,
Shanti.
Om Shanti. So today we are here to discuss on a very special topic, which is the meaning of life. And sometimes we come across souls would say that the life has no meaning. So we'll explore that. We'll explore how we can make life more meaningful in today's session. And joining us today is Sister Kanupriya from Peace Village. She has been practicing Raj Yoga meditation for over 10 years now. And she comes from a technical and a management background. And since childhood, she has had a very exploratory path where she's discovered or come across a lot of spiritual practices, with Raj Yoga meditation being one of them, where she learned how to have a lifestyle and how to think in a way that really makes her happy. So, with this session, we're also going to hear her experiences as she will talk about her own journey, which made life more meaningful for her. So, Sister Kanupriya, welcome. Welcome to Los Angeles family, and over to you. Thank you.
Thank you for the warm welcome and nice that you all could take some time out today to uh, for this spiritual session, because now with the opening of the COVID lockdown somewhat, we have so many options to do so many other things. But your commitment and I'm sure the sustenance that the Los Angeles family is giving you all is very special, and very warm welcome from Peace Village as well. So I hope that we can have an interactive session, because we have quite some time, so it'll be good to know your thoughts, and also if there are any questions in the sharings, maybe you could type it in the chat, or I don't know if you're able to unmute yourself. Whatever feels comfortable is good here. Okay, so the meaning of life is a quintessential question that we all, at some point, probably do ask ourselves. And when we look at life, what do we mean by life? Life is something that we constantly are living, right? That there are lots of things we are interacting with in our lives, and as the sister rightly said, that many times we as if lose hope in life, and we are looking for um, what is it that what we are doing in life. So if we were to look at the meaning for life, that actually, if we really think of, it covers maybe two broad areas, and those two broad areas are, one is, you know who am I? Yeah. Many times we feel that, who is it that I am really in this life? And the other is, what is the purpose? What is the aim that I'm living this life? And we will see in the session that how these two are very much interlinked, as in the purpose is very much interlinked with who I am. And who I am just means that the awareness that we are living in. So, for example, what do I mean by awareness? Awareness, for example, if I am a finance person, right? It will make me think about the purpose of my life as maybe earning more money, because I'm thinking about finance all the time. Or if we were to take at a look at, say, a flower, okay, um, a nice, pretty looking flower. Now, how that purpose or the is affected with the kind of awareness that one is in, or what one
Sister
sees.
Kanupriya, there came in the chat box that the audio is a bit low. So, could you just check on your end, please?
Yeah, sure. I'll try and be louder. Is that better now?
Yes, I think so. I can hear well. So it's good.
Yes,
Yeah.
Oh,
yes,
It
it
is
is
good to me.
better.
Yeah, Om Shanti. It is good to me also. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
yes, so we were talking about the awareness affects what purpose I'm looking for in life. So, the example of a flower. Now, if there is a nice, pretty looking flower, and if, say, three or four different kinds of people are looking at that one particular flower. For example, if a botanist is looking at the flower, he will try to look at what is the species of the flower, what does the stem look like, and what are, how much sunlight it needs, and so on and so forth, right? And if there was an artist, for example, looking at the same flower, then his purpose of looking at the flower will be very, very different. Anybody wants to tell me what that purpose may be? An artist, he will look at maybe the color of the flower, and how beautiful it is, and how he can paint it or draw it, right? And suppose a merchant was to look at the same flower, then the purpose that he will be looking at the flower would be that how much, how he can sell it more, where it will fetch more money, something like this, right? So three different kinds of awareness, or what we say, who I am, right? That affects the purpose of our life. Yeah. So agree with this that
Yes.
yes. So, what is it that is happening currently in our lives? So, something that is very fundamental, who am I, is defining the purpose. Now, if we were to look at our own lives currently, right, we will see that our lives are currently, um, you know, when we speak about life, it is as if limited to a, and I like to put the whole life, and we call it the life in the physical world, right? So the whole physical world is our life right now. And in this physical world, there are many, many, many things that we are interacting with, right? So there is, of course, um, the body, right? So suppose this is John, yeah, and then there is nature in this, yeah. There is the city I live in, yeah? There are mountains and rivers and trees, and there is money involved, yeah. There is a job that is there, and there is politics, right? The country I belong to, yeah, and the city I live in, and there is probably the gym that I go to, yeah, and there is food involved, yeah. That also is something that I'm interacting with on a daily basis. Um, and one very important thing, so pardon me for my sketching skills, but um, it helps me lighten up. Yeah, and I hope that you enjoy these very childlike drawings. But it's good to see something visually also. So, can someone tell me what this is? This particular thing, very important part of our lives currently. Maybe I'm not making the latest model, but that's a cell phone. Yeah. So
Yes.
these are some things that objects, or of course there are relationships also, right? There may be children and friends and neighbors and parents or whatever, right? So all these people and position and possessions and um, in this case money, but just to keep up with the peas, we can call in America plastic money, right? We are always using our cards to transact. And then there may be pets involved, and there may be yeah, pizza and things like that, right? So many things that we are interacting with in this physical world currently. And that is our life. When we speak about life at this moment, we are speaking about something or the other in this physical box. Is that right? And when we are looking for meaning in life, then we are looking for meaning from something or many things within this limited box, yeah, this physical world box. And this physical world box actually comes with some basic characteristics that govern this physical box fundamentally, whether it is to do with people or nature or food or politics or anything like that. Everything in this physical world box is governed by few characteristics, or we can call as if universal laws that govern this physical box. Anybody wants to take a guess what those few characteristics are? So let me give you a start. Okay. So the first one is that this is unpredictable. Agree? Everything in this physical world box is unpredictable, meaning uncertain, right? Right now in Peace Village, it is quite sunny outside. It is still daylight, but it is quite sunny and warm. But very next moment, if I step out of the door, it is very much possible that it starts to rain, and it becomes cold. Um, right now, there may be a friend of mine who I speak with regularly, but it is very much possible that from tomorrow onwards, yeah, we decide not to speak with each other. So everything in this physical world is unpredictable. You don't know what is going to happen next, right? And related to that unpredictability, um, means that there is a change involved, right? Everything is changing from moment to moment. Right now, it is we are moving towards night in Peace Village. Then there will be a day, right? And any task that we do, whether it is cooking, cleaning, working, whatever, right? It is all is actually changing, and
It is kind of perishable also.
yes, yes. So everything is perishable, meaning it has a beginning and an end, right? Meaning everything is perishable, right? And so these are some of the characteristics, that it is unpredictable, changing, has a beginning and an end. And now, based on these characteristics, if we were to look at any of the things that we are looking at in this physical world box for meaning, right? When we talk about meaning, when we look for meaning, um, it somewhere involves some kind of aim or purpose that we are setting for ourselves in this physical world box. And it may be related to um, some maybe better relationships, or maybe having more money, or having a better position in the job, right? Or having a better house, right? More bigger house, more luxurious house, um, and so on and so forth. So, um, whatever it is within this physical world box, we are chasing behind these things which are unpredictable and changing, right? And when we say that it is unpredictable and changing, it also means that whatever we have set out for as an aim, that also will inherently change, right? So, for example, at work, maybe there is a project that is given to us, right? Now, project is over, then, there is a start to the project, then there is an end to a project. And then, we are looking for the next kind of thing. What do we do next, right? And uh, whatever is happening with the change, many times our aim also changes. So for example, uh, uh, there was a time when, since childhood I was quite interested in this field of finance and business and entrepreneurship, right? um, uh, Partially because of the family background that I was brought up in, and I saw that I had some kind of interest. So, from very young age, I had decided that I wanted to be in this field of finance and business and entrepreneurship. And then when I grew up, I was always a good student in school and scored very good marks. And usually, people, would take up science streams, especially back in India, which is where I am from. So, but because of my interest in finance and commerce and business, I always took up the finance stream as career, and also for my education. And then as I got into a very good job, and I was doing very well and everything was very nice. And then there came a point, and I still don't know the reason why it happened, but there came a point after working for maybe 5 or 7 years, right? I just lost interest in finance. I had had interest in finance for at least 15 to 20 years, right? Since childhood. But there came a point where I just did not want to do it anymore. And it was not that I was not good at it or anything like that. I was doing very well in every sense, but just lost interest. And then I was questioning myself that what is it that I am looking for? And I kept searching within the self that, if I don't do finance, then what can I do? Yeah. And what should be my next aim? And there was this feeling of, emptiness, or feeling of a feeling of being lost, totally, because something that you have had the aim for, and you thought that you will live your whole life, um, in a particular way, or in a particular kind of career, or whatever, right? Profession. Suddenly, if you lose interest in that, then you feel lost. And this is just an example, but what I'm trying to say, that the aim also may change, and that is not in our hands. We cannot predict that. It is unpredictable. And then we are looking for meaning, because we are feeling lost at that point of time. So um, that is one thing, change. And uh, also, just to give another example, um, it doesn't have to be always with our career or job. Of course, that has a big part to play in what we are doing, right? But even if it's just leisure, right? If even if there were times when we would go for a vacation and have very good time with friends, and we would tour the whole place, and but at the end of uh, the night, or at the end of the tour, we would feel, at least I would feel, that what did I achieve from this vacation, right? And it's not that we did not have fun in the vacation, but what is that deeper purpose, huh? Or what is the meaning behind all this? What am I really doing? So um, so it could be in any aspect of this physical world box, right? Whether it is what political party you are associated with, or what kind of gadget you are using, or career, vacation, whatever, right? So that is one aspect, that everything in this physical world box is changing. And also the meaning of life, um, it does not really depend on whether you have achieved something, your aim, or you have not been able to achieve your aim, right? It is just based on this changing nature. So if I were to take two people, two of my friends, and these are again real life examples, that one friend, she has done very well for herself. She is a doctor here in the US, and doing very well. She has a very good social life, and um, very active in many, many, many areas. She plays pickleball, and um, uh, is very active in the community around where she stays and things like that. So doing many things. So meaning to say that she has achieved in the worldly sense a lot of things. Also accumulated a lot of wealth, because she did very well in her profession as a doctor and things like that. Has a very big house, nice house, big car, everything. So this is one example of a person who has achieved everything. But when I speak with her, she says that, I know so many things, and I'm so good at so many things in so many different fields, sports and community service and her profession, everything. But but today, when she looks back at her life, she feels that it has no meaning. And she feels that nobody appreciates her for what she's doing. And in her own words, she says that I'm doing so many things, but where is the party? Where are the balloons? Yeah, where is the parade for my achievements? Yeah. So there is that feeling of emptiness, even after having achieved so much in life. And the other example, where we can say that there is another friend who is leading a very simple life. The whole life, he was working in a bakery, and very modest, simple living, and but very good at heart, always trying to help people, and loves nature, loves hiking. So in the worldly sense, yeah, we can say that maybe he had very low aim, or in the worldly sense, not so successful, right? um, and he also experiences the same kind of emptiness from life. um, so um, the point I'm trying to make is that wherever you are in your life, you may have achieved a lot, you may not have, in that worldly sense, achieved um, anything, or you may be somewhere in the middle, wherever, right? uh, but it is very much possible that we don't find meaning in our lives. And That is the reason why we feel lost. The moment we start to feel lost in life and we start to ask these two questions: who am I? What is the purpose of my life? That means that we are actually basing all our life on this limited box, physical world box. And is it really wise to base our life, or the meaning of our life, the purpose of our life, the aim of our life on something that is constantly changing? Is it wise? What would you say? No, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yes. So if we do not base our life or the meaning of our life on this temporary changing physical world box, then what is it that we can do to really feel useful to ourselves, feel useful for others as well? So we will be looking at that. But to just give you a brief, introduction into what is possible. So when we, this physical world box is just the physical aspect. And to give an example, if we were to look at a city, say the city of New York. um, Now that city of New York, you can understand that better when you look at the map of that city. And uh, you can really enjoy the city also more when you have looked at the map from before. So meaning to say, the bigger picture, the map in this case, gives you a better idea about your destination, or the place that you are in. And similarly, in our lives also, if we were to look at the bigger picture of our lives, then we will see, um, we can understand better what is happening in this physical world box, and how, with just broadening our perspective and with seeing the world that is beyond this physical world, we are able to become useful for ourselves as well as for others, right? And I we can represent that world which is beyond this physical world. We can call it the non-physical world. And the non-physical world is something that is invisible in nature, right? Um, Physical world is everything that we can see with these eyes. We can touch things, we can smell, all our sense organs, whatever they can perceive is in the physical world. Non-physical world is really invisible. And um, in this invisible world is where the true life is. Now, true life of who, right? So, if we were to look at that closely, we will see that we have to answer this question: who am I? And I believe that you all have been introduced to this point of light, yeah, the true living being, the one that is conscient. Uh, we call it the soul, right? So the soul is the one who's the living one. And the soul resides in this non-physical dimension. He's invisible, right? And when we get to know more about the soul, we also get to uh, like we start to get familiar with the purpose of the soul, and why there is existence in this physical box of the soul. So the true residence of the soul is this non-physical world that is invisible. And this non-physical world, the characteristics of the non-physical world are exactly opposite from the characteristics of the physical world. So we can say that this world is changeless, and this world is eternal. Yeah. And so, um, to develop this perspective of the world beyond, of the true existence of this living being, the soul. So, the soul, we can say, is just a visitor or a guest in this physical world, visiting this physical world for a temporary period of time. And then there is a beginning, meaning there is an entry in this physical world, and there is also an exit from this physical world of this soul. And when the soul is here, it plays a role in this physical world. It takes a body, yeah, and then there is a exit. And so, knowing this bigger picture, uh, it it really opens up our mind, and now we start to look at things in a different way. Um, Once this is clear, who am I? Then we will also look at what is the purpose of this non-living or this non-physical, invisible, living being of light. So, any questions or comments so far before we move on to the next part?
No, very good.
Okay. So now let us look at what are our feelings, yeah, when we are currently basing our life in this physical world box. Yeah. So what happens really is that when we are, for example, um, looking at, say, there is a plant here, okay, and every day I have to, it's my duty to come and water the plant. And when I water the plant, I start to feel that this is my plant. Um, that is called forming some kind of bondage or attachment. And once I start to feel that this is my plant, um, then if there is anyone who's giving a comment or either criticizing the plant or even praising the plant, then I feel that it is they are praising me or they are criticizing me. So if a friend of mine comes and says, "Oh, this is such an ugly plant. Yeah, I don't like this plant at all," I will feel that I may feel if I am in this bondage with the plant, then that they are criticizing me, and I will feel that that person is not my friend anymore. Similarly, with praise also. When somebody comes and says that, "Oh, such a pretty nice, pretty nice plant that you have got, and I'm sure that you're taking such good care." So I start to feel that, they are praising me because it is my plant and I took care of it. I have been watering it and making sure that it is in the sunlight when the sun is out, and then when the sun is too strong, I'm keeping it in another place. Yeah. So with this kind of bondage, uh, we are living our lives. And we saw that in the physical world, yeah, whether it is the plant or anything to do with any object, people, possessions in the physical world, things are changing. And people's comments may change, the plant itself may change, anything can happen, right? And in this process of forming bondage, in this case of a plant, the moment I start to feel that this is my plant, I start to feel that I can something can happen with the plant. The moment I start to say mine, this word mine, my or mine, gives rise to insecurity. Ah, I'm sorry, I didn't spell it right. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. So insecurity, right? And insecurity, um, because I am forming bondage, in this case with a plant, and the the more I feel insecure, the more I will have feelings of um, uh, some kind of loss, that I can lose, because I start to feel that this is my plant in this case. And insecurity gives rise to this kind of desperation. And when we start to be desperate, it gives rise to many unpleasant emotions and feelings in our lives. When for example, I set out an aim for myself, a purpose, which is based on this temporary physical world. For example, in this case, the plant. So if I have some kind of expectation that the plant should give good flowers, or something like this, and that does not happen, because a plant is a plant, it can behave any which way, right? So it I undergo stress, feelings of stress, because it is a desire, uncertainty, complex. Then if 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 something, if related to, if I want something, yeah, and I have a bondage with something based on something temporary, and then I uh, don't get it, right? I lose that thing. So in this case, the plant, then it will generate some feelings of anger in me. Yeah. And in case I do not get the plant, but somebody else gets the plant, it generates some feelings of envy. And if I get the if I don't get the plant, and I can blame someone that that because of this person I did not get the plant, then it results in the feeling of anger. But if I can't blame anyone, I don't get the plant, but I can't blame anyone, then I experience feeling of this sadness and depression. So all these kinds of negative and unpleasant feelings and emotions arise when we are basing our life and the meaning of our life on something that is temporary, changing always, because we are feeling insecure always, right? Yeah. So anyone feeling like this? And there are many other, smaller emotions, but just listed down the major ones here. But we can say that there is anxiety that is there. There is greed that comes in, because we are trying to accumulate more and more and more to make ourselves feel more secure and safe. But that is not possible in the physical world, right? Because that is the characteristic we saw. Now, how do we really make ourselves more secure? So, spiritual knowledge tells us that this living, conscient being of light, yeah, we have been talking about this, the soul, which is the resident of this invisible, non-physical world. Uh, because of the fact that the soul is eternal and immortal, It exists forever. It has no beginning, no end. And the place of residence of this non-living, of this living conscious being of light is also eternal. It exists forever. It is changeless and endless. So from that space, that some sort of security comes in into our lives. And when we look at uh, the that kind of security, which is based on some permanency, a universal truth, then we find ourselves in a very safe position. And when we feel very safe, then we see that how the best in ourselves comes out. So when we feel secure, then we can see how it makes us truly love, experience the feeling of love, because love is not based on any expectations or bondages. When we are truly feeling secure based on this eternal being of light, we are not calling anything me or mine. So not even in this case my own body or role. I'm not calling that me or mine. Not interacting with others in relationships also based on uh, as if they are mine. So there is no sort of possessiveness or expectations and desires that are involved in this kind of love. It's a very sort of pure spiritual love, right? Um, and again, to give an example, when we are with small children, little children, we feel extremely secure, right? Because we know that they cannot harm us. And that is where, we all like to spend our time most of the time, because they are so innocent, and they make us feel safe. So the feelings of love for a child naturally emerges within all of us, right? So the reason is that we feel secure. Then there is feelings of happiness, true happiness um, that one can experience when one is feeling secure. And to give an example, there is this person who really enjoys roller coaster rides. And in roller coaster rides, they take you all over, right? They turn you topsy turvy, head down, right? But they enjoy that ride because the reason is because they feel safe and secure with the safety belt. So if we were to think about our whole physical world also as a roller coaster ride, then um, if to enjoy that whole physical world, right, a ride, a roller coaster ride, then it is very important for us to feel secure. And that security again can come from the world beyond the physical world. Then we can truly experience happiness. There are other feelings of peace that also emerges from the security, because um, there is no sort of disturbance in our minds when we are truly connected to this non-physical world and this true being of light. Then there are feelings of lightness and freedom, which are experienced when we are living as this visitor or a guest in this physical world, when we are able to see this distinct separation of the soul from the physical body and the role that one is playing. So these are very nice feelings to have, right? We all would like to get there, isn't it? Yeah. So, um, so how do we really um, improve this our um, the meaning of our lives, right? So what is the true meaning and purpose of our lives? So, like we said earlier, that in this physical world, right, we are interacting with so many things. And if we were to look what is really happening in our mind, what is our awareness like? If we were to just draw a map of our mind, then we will see that there is some many thoughts in our mind that are there currently. And in the mind, if I were to represent each thought as a small eye, yeah. Now, this I also is related to this question of who am I that we were referring to earlier, which is based on awareness. So these eyes in blue, which I have represented, all these eyes are based on the physical world box. So it may be something related to the job. Okay, so suppose I'm a doctor. So there is a mm, I based on awareness based on doctor. And this awareness, what we are talking about, is nothing but like a identity. We can call it a false identity because it is an identity based on something that is temporary. And I start to feel that that identity is me. So I am a doctor. So that is a false identity. And false identity, another name for false identity is what we call ego. So there is this false identity of a doctor, or there may be false identity based on the size of the house that I live in, that I have a very big house or a very small house, okay, on the house, or on the country that I'm living in, say I'm American. That is another false identity that can be there, or ego. And another false identity could be that I'm a very good sportsman. For example, I'm a very good pickleball player. So sports could be another identity. Or it could be based on relationships, that I'm a mother, for example, or a daughter. It could be based on other possessions that I have, that I'm owner of a Tesla car. So there could be many false identities like this. And those identities are what are governing or ruling our mind currently. And like we saw earlier, that for a doctor, right, his because his awareness is about a doctor, um, the purpose and the aim that he sets out for himself would be related to that awareness. And if that aim is met or not met, in both the cases, there will be a sense of um, not having any um, meaning in life, because that aim may change, the circumstances may change, everything may change. So, what do we usually do in when we do not have spiritual knowledge? Then, what do we usually do when we are feeling as if we have no meaning in life? We are not able to make out what is the purpose in life. So, what I have observed is that usually, if in my case, the example that I gave for myself, my personal example, when I totally lost interest in finance, right? And I was looking now what could be the other, uh, you know, area where I could really um, feel purposeful or useful for myself or others as well. So I was just trying, instead of finance, I was just trying to see if I could take up another kind of profession where I have similar kind of interest. So in my case, it was I was seriously considering some kind of adventure sports because I used to really like adventure sports. So I was seriously considering that as a profession. Mm. But now I understand that replacing one kind of aim or awareness or purpose based on this physical world, or based on this false identity state or ego with just another one, yeah, in maybe sports, adventure sports in my case, from finance to adventure sports. We are just getting stuck in this circle. We are again and again going back to that same uh, cycle of the physical world, right? Because that again can change. It is unpredictable. It has a beginning and an end. Yeah, it is very much possible that we lose interest in what we have replaced this the first interest and the first meaning with the right. So, um, is it helpful? Yeah. It's not that it's not it doesn't help at all. Yeah? It is possible that um, that we are able to stick on to the other um, interest or profession in this case um, for some time. But it is also short-lived. So, what is the better, more intelligent, and wise thing to do, or what is a sensible thing to do? Is to really replace whatever kind of false identity or whatever awareness we are in. Um, we should be able to replace that with the spiritual identity.
True, I.
Yes, the true I. So the true I is what we call the spiritual identity or true identity. The spiritual identity is nothing but the soul. So the effort here in Raj Yoga is to replace this false identity state with the true identity state or spiritual identity state. And the more we understand this true identity or the soul, then we are able to also um, make out for ourselves what is the purpose. And one purpose, of course, there are many more details, and there could be, you know, looking at the time, we may not be able to cover all the details today, um, but one of the aims for our own uh, um, meaning of life, right, or that sense of purpose, is to really um, reach our highest potential, to really as if reawaken or rediscover that highest being, the higher self. So, as if reviving the higher self. So, that is something that that is that could be the purpose, and there could be many other associated purposes. But if we were to rediscover or reawaken the spiritual identity, the true identity, then there would be many, many, many benefits once we are able to do that. And we are not talking about acquiring skills here, right? We are not talking about that, okay, my aim is to learn this or learn that, right? In the worldly sense, like they say that, okay, you learn painting now, or you learn some kind of language, something like this. So we are not talking about acquiring skills here to really fulfill the purpose of our lives, or to feel ourselves valuable or useful. But we are talking about changing the awareness, that the the aspect of who am I. The more we come into the spiritual identity state, we will see that that a lot of feelings naturally come when we come into this true identity. And those feelings are that this life is a life of ease. And why is that? We spoke about security. Right? That security from the beyond, the world beyond, it makes us feel as if we have everything, and there is no need for anything from the physical world box. So we are completely feeling full from our life, from the world beyond. And the more we connect to our reality, we reach our own perfect stage. And whenever we are referring to ourselves and we, right, we are referring to that tiny point of light. So of course, currently we all have some weaknesses, some flaws, some habits which we want to change. But the more we understand, the more we get clarity about this world beyond, right? We understand the family that is there, the supreme parent of this tiny point of light, the soul. The more we remember our life of beyond, we are able to overcome all these weaknesses and flaws, and we will reach a state of perfection. And the more there is um, removal of all these acquired weaknesses and flaws, then we will also see that we become full of virtues naturally. It's not that we have to work on them. Just by changing the awareness, just by having clarity about this, that point of light, the soul, and also the home, the supreme parent, all these two, three aspects in our spiritual knowledge, if we are able to really understand it, then we automatically become virtuous also. And the foundation of this life is a life of knowledge, right? So we become more sensible. It is a life of wisdom. Yeah. So we all like to be wise. And it is a very big secret that that we now know that it's not the spiritual, sorry, the IQ that we are talking about, right here, but this kind of intelligence, the spiritual intelligence, that is equally present in everyone, which is a very good news, right? It is just that we have not been using that intelligence up till now. For whatever reasons, we have been focusing on many other things. So we have not been using that intellect or intelligence, the spiritual wisdom. So now we have an opportunity to really use that wisdom. And again, with the understanding of this spiritual knowledge, the Raj Yoga spiritual knowledge, we get to know um, our truth. And as if the more we get that clarity, we start to use that intelligence, the spiritual intelligence. And the more we use it, it becomes even stronger. The intelligence, the intellect becomes stronger like a muscle, right? If you want to build your abs, then you will exercise that muscle. The more you exercise it, it becomes stronger. So similarly, um, in the case of spiritual intelligence. And spiritual intelligence just means, very simply put, seeing that bigger picture, the bigger map. The more we start to see that, the world beyond this physical limited box, the more we are able to um, become full of wisdom. So that is the effort that we will also experiment in today in meditation also. Other, other things that we will see when we rediscover our highest potential is that it is a life of simplicity. So we all have heard mostly that simple living and high thinking. So in the worldly sense, we may not have many possessions, or we may also have possessions, but our thinking is very high. We are as if using all those objects, if we have, um, we are using it just as trustees, as guests. Right? Just we know that this all is for temporary short period of time, um, and it is not wise to form any kind of bondage or attachment. Right? So, with simplicity, we are able to really become rich, rich as if rich in the head and rich in the heart. And rich in the head just means that our head, our intellect is connected with our reality. So that is the life of someone who is rediscovering his own perfection. So this is another thing. Then um, because now we become more aware about our spiritual existence, then we see that how it is not um, uh, sensible to form any kind of bondages, or not sensible to have any kind of desires. And the moment we don't start to have desires, we also experience peace. Um, Another word for peace I would like to use here is we also start to become wiseness, because there are no desires associated with. And desires are not there, not because we are trying to suppress anything here. Of course, we need uh, things for our livelihood, for our daily livelihood, and things like that, which we definitely um, take care and take full responsibility of those things. Taking care of the body, taking care of the livelihood, right? We work, we go for a job and whatever, right? So whatever is required, we do that with full responsibility. But but there is no desire, in the sense that there is no needing anything or no wanting anything, and that again relates us back to that point of security. That when this fully conscient living being knows of his existence from the world beyond, then he's secure from his eternity and immortality. Secure, totally, right? So that is why there is no desires or um, expectations, even no preferences about anything in this physical world. So that is another sort of um, benefit of rediscovering the self. That is how the life would look like. And when it is a life of fullness, then you want to share with others. Right? You're feeling full yourself, so you then end up helping others, helping and giving. You are not in the taking of them, but you are just giving and sharing. And science tells us, many studies have told us, medical studies, that those who give, they are more happy. They lead more happy lives than people who always want something, and those who are takers. So this life of fullness results in more giving and more happiness. So that is a brief about how we can aim to be our own highest self and try to reach that perfect stage, reach our own highest potential. And that is why this is a very good aim to have. And this aim is a continuous process, this kind of purpose in life. It gives so much of enthusiasm and so much of motivation. You can keep motivating yourself to improve, right? And sometimes I feel that many in some discussions we come across this question that don't you uh, feel as if the other person is doing better than you in this also. But the beauty about this, the own selves, um, nature, right? And reaching that highest potential is that as if you're competing with yourself, right? Because each one is different, right? So we don't. There is no need to compare with others, and there is enough for us to work on ourselves, right? Because there is probably a big gap in our perfect self and reaching our highest potential, and where we may be right now. So, uh, so there is always enthusiasm and motivation without really, need to compare with others. So that is something that we all can work on. And with this, we always start to feel very purposeful and useful, first for ourselves and then also for others. So I hope this was useful, and okay, I don't know, there are some people not able to hear. Side. It's okay. So any questions or comments anybody wants to share? We will also short meditation. But if anybody wants to share anything, most welcome. This may be the right time to ask and share. Yeah, I was just reflecting on how our when our awareness is based on uh, that physical world box, right? It really helps me to um, have this picture in front for you. Awareness is based on this physical world box, then we are always looking for better things here. And it may be better relationships, yeah. It may be happier or more luxurious holidays. That is the better quality of life we all aim for. And in terms of education, we may want a higher degree from a more prestigious institution. We may want more money, and something that we are really passionate about, some hobbies that we are passionate about, even um, saving climate or nature, right, or trees and things like that. Everything is good, but um, you know uh, it is still governed by these um, characteristics, and it becomes very difficult to sustain that kind of purpose based on awareness, which is a false identity currently. Um, Many times we may feel that we are as if now that I've been practicing Raj Yoga for almost 10 years, and I feel that it's sort of earlier what I was doing before I came into this knowledge, it seems like some sort of waste of time, right? And now with this learning and with this kind of knowledge and clarity that we are getting about this tiny point of light and this world beyond the non-physical world, we start to feel that yes, there is something more valuable in our lives. There is more definite, a higher aim that we all can have for ourselves. So this is a very
Okay, one question.
Mhm.
Uh, Understanding the I, who am I? As like all the egos, there's a false identity of I, like my role, my I'm parents. Um, so those cannot be the purpose of the life. Yet, since we are in this physical world, we had to go through those as a responsibility, not as a purpose. After having the true understanding of who I am, how the purpose change, because still I have to be live in the body and I have to go through this day to day, my responsibility, I can say. Uh, but when I'm in the awareness of who I am, the way I see is change, but how the purpose changes.
Yes, very good question. Thank you for asking it. So here, like you mentioned that everything remain may remain the same even after we get in this knowledge. Parents remain the same. Our circumstances may remain the same. Right? We may be doing the same job, but this changes in awareness. Who am I? Right? The way we interact with others does change, and it becomes more elevated in a way. And the purpose then, the specific example of a relationship, if we were to take, right? In most relationships, right, we are currently, when we are not in that true awareness state, then we are in a taking mode in some respect or the other. We want love from others. We want something from others. We want happiness from others. We want respect from others. We want appreciation from others. So that is become the foundation of our relationship. But when we change the awareness of who we really are, and the more we understand this, that we are a soul, and we saw that when we come into that full awareness state, and when we come into that space where we have reached our highest potential, then we will lead a life of fullness where we are not in a taking mode, but we are in a giving mode. So the relationship remains the same, parent and child, for example. But we are not in the, we don't want happiness from them, but we are in a position because we are full from the world beyond, our security beyond. Right? We are able to give happiness in spite of whatever the circumstance or the relationship may be, in whatever shape and form, right? They may be giving us sorrow, but because we are full, we will end up giving them happiness. We will not be taking that sorrow because there is no space in us. We are full, right, to take that sorrow. So the whole dynamics of the relationship changes. And it's not that we don't take responsibility, we take full responsibility still, but we are able to actually do better in relationships or in any of the interactions that we are having with object or nature or whatever, because we are not any more takers, we become givers. Does it make it more clear?
Yes, yeah, thank you, Didi. Yeah.
Okay, there is a question. Teens and youngsters question everything but don't want to listen to your answers. Any questions on how to explain? Yeah. So most things we cannot control, right? Nothing is in our control. And especially um, there are phases in life, teenage years being one, um, when one is trying to figure out a lot of things. So, of course, there will be questions. The best we can do at this stage is to work on ourselves a little bit more and to truly see ourselves at this point of light and also see others, in this case, the children, also as a point of light. And in that awareness, whatever is shared is shared. And then again, no expectations or this kind of bondage. The moment we start to say they are my children and they should listen to what I have to say, um, uh, there is an imbalance sort of happening. So we are seeing that this tiny point of light, the soul, is just a guest in this body, playing the role of a mother in this case, maybe. Yeah, and we just, you know, seeing them as a soul, seeing ourselves as a soul, explain, and whether they take it or not is okay. Mhm. That's the part of the physical world.
Sister, so in these questions, in particular this question, so uh, being in the Gyan, BK Gyan, how much it helps if, like you said, see yourself as a soul, your teenagers as a soul, and then like they are on their own journey. How much it helps if, like in the morning hours when we wake up with meditations, we can send some vibrations and we can create some visualizations. Is that change in the situations?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, whatever question they're doing, questioning right now, if we create a good visualizations that he's doing great, he's listening, and this is the way he's doing, the way I not I want, but the way he's supposed to be grow and listen. Or so, how much that helps to the parents,
Yeah.
and sending the right vibrations that this is happening, like the way we do, like getting the energy from the supreme and sending it. So is that helps teenagers to transform, I can say, a little bit.
Mm. Yeah, at this point of time, our focus should be to be in the true awareness ourselves. Mm. And sometimes the circumstances may change, sometimes they may not change. But if we were to change our perspective, our mindset, the way we look at things, that then we are able to be peaceful ourselves. Mm. And for that, like we said, that that bondage, that me and mine, has to go. So the more we look at the soul as just a visitor in this body, yeah, and the role of a mother in this case, so the children are also temporary, right? In that sense, body itself, the role itself is temporary. Children are also temporary. Children are also points of light. All are souls belonging to this world beyond. So the just this awareness, this shift of mind and perspective, that um, helps us personally be more peaceful, and that changes the vibrations what you're talking about. It may or may not result in the change in the situation or the circumstance, but it definitely will make you more peaceful, which is a very big achievement. I hope.
Yep, thank you.
I have a question. So, with the personal example you gave about no longer being happy with finance. Was that, would you say, an attachment to an idea of how your path should be, or even an expectation that you should be consistently happy in that field?
Yeah, just this, I think, uh, this thing about that, I want to be something in the finance world, right? So um, that is an idea that I had, right? And trying to um, achieve in whichever way to get to that state where I can be somebody. And in that process itself, the interest was lost. So, and it is a fact of life, right? That you can lose interest in anything, whether you're doing well in that or not doing well. I give examples also, right? But that is the fact of life. So to base something, your whole life or your whole purpose on something that can change anytime, that is not very sensible.
Right, that makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, so let us do a short meditation.
Shanti. So thank you, sister, so much for that wonderful sharing. The meaningful points that you shared really helps in knowing how we can make our life meaningful. So thank you for that. And for all those who are attending, this recording, this session has been recorded and it will be available on our YouTube channel. So we'll post the link to the channel in our chat box so you can take it from there. And usually it takes around 2 days to have the recording available on the channel. So after 2 days, you should see it available. And also we're now heading towards our evening meditation hour. So feel free to stay back for a peaceful meditation experience. So thank you so much. Thank you, sister, again. Om Shanti.